There's a quiet ache many women carry in their relationships, a simmering frustration that often goes unspoken. It's the exhaustion of constantly trying, the sting of feeling overlooked despite pouring your heart and soul into someone, the bewildering confusion when a man who once seemed captivated suddenly pulls away. You've given your all, your time, your affection, your understanding, only to find yourself feeling less seen, less desired, perhaps even taken for granted. You wonder, what more can I do? The brutal truth is, sometimes doing less, or rather doing something profoundly different, is the very thing that ignites a deeper, more enduring connection. We've been fed a persistent narrative that tells us to be constantly present, endlessly accommodating, and effortlessly available. We're taught that by being the perfect partner, always understanding, always supportive, always there, we secure a man's affections. We believe unwavering devotion and relentless consistency are the keys to his heart. But what if this very approach, with all its good intentions, is inadvertently dulling the spark, making the chase less exhilarating, and ultimately rendering him less engaged? What if the secret to lasting attraction isn't about being perfectly predictable, but about introducing a quiet, unsettling shift that makes him truly see you, perhaps for the very first time? This isn't about manipulation or games. It's about understanding a fundamental, often overlooked aspect of human psychology, and, most importantly, reclaiming your own intrinsic power. The male ego, its intricate core, and the unseen sedation of complacency. To truly grasp the profound nature of a man's ego, we must look beyond superficial pride and understand it as a deeply intricate and often fragile system that shapes his very perception of self. It's meticulously built from a lifetime of experiences, the silent pressures of societal expectations, and even his most vulnerable, unvoiced fears. At its heart, the male ego yearns for recognition. It needs to feel competent, essential, and, crucially, in control of his world, especially within his relationships. He carries a deep-seated need to be the problem solver, the protector, the one who brings indispensable value. This isn't just about direct compliments. It's about seeing that his presence genuinely matters, that he is needed, and that he can make a tangible difference in your life. If he feels his unique contributions are no longer essential, that he's no longer the hero in your story, his inner foundation begins to quietly, subtly destabilize. Now consider the dynamic when a woman, with all her genuine affection and unwavering commitment, inadvertently sedates this very sensitive aspect of him. Imagine a world where everything is simply given. If you are perpetually available, instantly responsive, always anticipating his needs, and relentlessly showering him with affection, you effectively strip away the need for him to strive, to pursue, to earn. His ego, which thrives on the thrill of the chase, not in a manipulative sense, but in the inherent drive to overcome, to achieve, to win, finds itself with nothing to conquer. It's like a muscle that atrophies from lack of use. When his every text is met with an immediate reply, when his calls are never missed, when his presence is constantly affirmed without him having to make a conscious effort, he begins to take your presence and your affection for granted. There's no mystery to unravel, no challenge to overcome, no space for him to truly miss you. He subconsciously categorizes you as known, and with that, the inherent drive to explore and understand you on a deeper level begins to wane. This isn't a deliberate coldness on his part. It's a natural human tendency to become complacent when something is effortlessly, consistently available. Beneath the often stoic and confident exterior, many men grapple with underlying insecurities and fears. They worry about not being enough, about potential failure, about inadequacy. When a relationship flows with such effortless ease, these anxieties remain dormant. There's no impetus for him to confront them because nothing is truly pushing him. He doesn't have to actively pursue, to innovate, or to earn your attention or affection. And when the effort required is minimal, the perceived value of what he has can subtly, almost imperceptibly, diminish. This erosion isn't a conscious calculation, but rather a quiet, insidious draining of his intrinsic motivation within the relationship. He stops asking, "What can I do to connect?" and instead settles into, "This is comfortable." This understanding leads us to the profound yet simple idea of activating something deeper within him. It's not about playing games or becoming aloof. It's about calmly and deliberately disrupting the comfortable predictability that has lulled his ego into this state of complacency. When his ego is no longer pampered by constant availability and easy affirmation, it begins to stir, to question. It starts to ask, what has shifted? Why isn't this as straightforward as it once was? What am I missing? This isn't a fear that you're abandoning him, but rather a powerful surge of curiosity and a deep-seated urge to understand, to reestablish a sense of connection, and to explore aspects of himself he never needed to acknowledge before. Consider it this way. A fundamental drive within many men is to chase, to conquer, to solve. When you become the ever-present, already solved puzzle, you unwittingly disengage this primal part of him. When you subtly, yet consistently, create a space where his usual assumptions about your constant availability are challenged, something profound shifts. His ego, starved of its usual easy affirmations, begins to push him to seek what feels lost, to rediscover the thrill of the chase, and to engage with the relationship on a deeper, more intentional level. This isn't superficial attraction. It's a fundamental psychological impulse to reassert his relevance and to reclaim a sense of purpose within the dynamic. It's the quiet reawakening of his desire to truly earn your presence and to prove his value to you. Not because you demanded it, but because your subtle shift made him realize its importance. The quiet strength of intentional distance. So, what does this powerful disruption look like in the everyday reality of a relationship? It's not about theatrical gestures or dramatic ultimatums. It's about small, deliberate actions that, when consistently applied, carry immense weight. It's about emotional restraint, which is distinct from coldness. It's about meaningful silence, not angry withdrawal. And it's about understanding precisely when to gracefully step back. These aren't manipulative ploys. They are simply the natural expressions of a woman who genuinely values her own time, her personal space, and her emotional energy. Let's unpack these subtle, yet incredibly potent actions with concrete, relatable examples. The strategic pause, embracing emotional restraint. This isn't about ignoring someone or playing hard to get. It's about not always being instantly available, not over-explaining your every move, and not immediately reacting to every single text or call. It's about introducing a subtle, almost imperceptible delay, a small pocket of space where his ego has room to wonder, to engage. For weeks, you've been the one who texts back within minutes, eagerly outlining your day. Now he texts you, "Hey, what are you up to?" Instead of the immediate, detailed reply like, "Just chilling, bored, what about you? My day was XYZ," you might genuinely be engrossed in a book, a personal project, or simply enjoying your own quiet time. So you might wait an hour, maybe even two, before you respond. When you do, your reply is concise. Perhaps, "Just wrapped up something I was focused on. What's up?" Or if he calls and you're genuinely occupied, you don't drop everything. You let it go to voicemail. Later, when you're free and ready to connect, you calmly call him back. "Sorry, I was in the middle of doing something for yourself, work, friends." What did you need? You don't offer a lengthy apology. You simply state your reality. When he doesn't receive that familiar instant gratification, his ego feels a gentle, almost imperceptible nudge. He's grown accustomed to your immediate responsiveness, your constant presence. This subtle delay triggers a mild internal, "Why not?" He might find himself rereading his own text, subtly wondering if he said something wrong, or feeling a slight, unidentifiable flicker of curiosity. This isn't a negative, anxious fear. It's a quiet shift from complacency to active engagement. He starts to think about you more, not just as a reliable given, but as someone who has her own vibrant life, her own priorities, and a world that doesn't revolve solely around him. His mind becomes occupied with you in a new, more intriguing way. The art of meaningful silence, creating purposeful space. This goes beyond merely delaying responses. It's about consciously choosing not to fill every conversational void, not always being the one to initiate plans, and cultivating a deep comfort in your own space without feeling a constant pull to connect. It's about allowing him the opportunity to step forward and lead more often. In your relationship, you've typically been the one to propose weekend activities, meticulously planning dates and outings. This weekend, you simply don't. You calmly make your own plans with friends, immerse yourself in a personal hobby, or simply relish a quiet, fulfilling day alone. Or, after a lovely date, you resist the urge to immediately text, "Had such a great time." You allow him the space to reach out first. In a conversation, instead of rushing to fill every brief pause, you let them sit comfortably. You don't bombard him with an endless stream of probing questions designed to keep the conversation flowing. This meaningful silence creates a subtle vacuum, a space that his ego, which thrives on relevance and actively participating, will instinctively try to fill. He's grown accustomed to you being the driving force behind plans or the constant conversational engine. When that familiar impetus stops, his ego questions, "What's missing here? Why isn't she reaching out? Is she okay? Am I okay?" This internal questioning prompts him to step up and pursue. He might text, "Hey, haven't heard from you? Everything all right on your end?" Or, "What are you doing this weekend? Thought about you." He's not just making small talk, he's actively trying to reestablish the connection and his perceived role within it. You might even notice him putting an extra effort to impress you or get your attention, precisely because the previously guaranteed attention is no longer a given. The power of the retreat, knowing when to step back. This is about keenly recognizing when you are consistently giving too much, chasing too hard, or investing disproportionately in the relationship, and then consciously, calmly, and gracefully pulling back your energy. It's about disengaging from the chase altogether and allowing him to come to you on his own initiative. You've realized you're almost always the one making the long drive to his place, or constantly rearranging your entire schedule to accommodate his. You calmly decide to stop doing that. The next time he suggests a plan that places all the logistical burden on you, you politely and simply say, "That sounds fun, but it's a bit of a trek for me right now. Let me know if you're ever planning something closer to my area." Or, if you've been the primary initiator of contact, always sending the first text or making the first call, you simply stop. You don't announce your withdrawal. You just subtly redirect your valuable energy and focus towards your own life and well-being. This direct, yet incredibly calm and collect setting of boundaries significantly shakes his comfort zone. His ego has comfortably relied on your consistent efforts. When those efforts visibly recede, he might experience a subtle sense of loss or even confusion. Wait, she's not making the effort anymore. Why the shift? This forces him to reevaluate his own investment in the relationship. He begins to realize implicitly that your attention and presence are not an infinite, effortlessly flowing resource. His ego compels him to re-engage, to make more effort, to chase you, precisely because he's now experiencing the potential absence of something he once took for granted. He might start spontaneously offering to come to your neighborhood or putting significantly more thought and effort into planning dates, because he inherently understands that the easy access he once enjoyed has fundamentally changed. When a man no longer receives the familiar, predictable reactions, his ego is profoundly stirred. This doesn't cause fear in the sense of him being terrified you'll leave. Instead, it sparks a powerful curiosity and a primal need to regain a sense of control or to understand what is truly happening. You'll see it manifest in subtle psychological and behavioral expressions. Heightened engagement in communication. He might text more frequently, call at unusual times, or send follow-up messages. His communication might become more inquisitive. "What have you been up to?" "You've been quiet," as he tries to gather information and assess the new dynamic, seeking to understand your world. Increased attention and presence. When you're together, he might seem far more present, listening intently, making more eye contact, and genuinely engaging with your words. He's striving to absorb every detail, to understand what's different, and to ensure he's truly connecting. Subtle probing questions. He might subtly try to ascertain your feelings or what you're doing in your independent moments. "Are you seeing anyone else? Or have you been really busy lately?" These aren't necessarily accusations, but attempts by his ego to pinpoint the cause of the shift, to gauge his standing. Heightened efforts to please. You might notice him becoming more overtly affectionate, offering genuine compliments, suggesting thoughtful dates he knows you'd enjoy, or being more chivalrous. This is his ego's attempt to win back the perceived ease and predictability of your affection. He wants to feel like he's doing enough again. Subtle assertions of connection. While not always healthy, a mild display of possessiveness or protectiveness, e.g., asking more about your male friends, wanting to know your whereabouts, can be his ego attempting to reassert its claim or protect its territory, signaling his increased investment and recognition of your value. Emotional activation. He might express frustration or confusion. Why are you being so distant? But this is often a clear sign of his ego grappling with the loss of effortless access. He's no longer comfortable. He's actively emotionally engaged in the relationship's dynamic in a way he wasn't before. These reactions are not born out of manipulation. They are the natural, deeply psychological responses of a male ego that has been gently yet firmly roused from its comfortable slumber. He is no longer taking you for granted. He is actively seeking to understand, to connect, and to invest, because the easy access has been replaced by the intriguing, self-possessed presence of a woman who confidently holds her own power. This is the fertile ground for a truly profound and lasting connection. The woman's evolution, from seeking validation to choosing self-worth. This brings us to the most vital aspect of this entire understanding, the woman's own journey of profound growth. This isn't a mere tactic to get a man. It's a fundamental path to emotional self-sufficiency and a relationship built on genuine, mutual respect. The transition from frantically trying to please to simply existing in your own intrinsic power is, in itself, the most magnetic force of all. For far too long, many women have been conditioned to believe their worth is inextricably tied to external validation, particularly from a man. We strive to be the good girl, the understanding partner, the low-maintenance woman, all in the desperate hope of securing acceptance and love. This constant effort to appease often stems from a deep-seated, pervasive fear of rejection. We internalize the belief that if we are not constantly giving, constantly available, constantly striving, we will be abandoned, deemed unworthy, or simply forgotten. But the raw truth is, this fear of rejection is not a character flaw. It is a natural, deeply human emotion that needs to be acknowledged and understood, rather than suppressed or allowed to dictate our every action. When a woman genuinely understands and deeply accepts her own inherent value, rejection simply becomes an event, a fact of life, not a soul-crushing blow to her identity. If someone chooses to walk away, it's a reflection of their path, their choices, not a definitive judgment on your intrinsic worth. This realization is incredibly liberating. It means you no longer contort yourself into what you think someone else desires. You simply are. The deepest, most authentic attraction doesn't come from desperately trying to prove your worth. It emanates effortlessly from a place of radiating it. Living a full, vibrant life, passionately pursuing your own interests, cultivating your unique passions, and maintaining strong, healthy boundaries aren't acts of retaliation or cold manipulation. They are the purest, most honest expressions of self-respect and profound inner peace. When you are genuinely engaged in your own life, when your happiness isn't contingent on someone else's approval or presence, you become inherently attractive. This attraction isn't about seeking attention. It is the attention. It's a quiet, powerful magnetism that draws people in, not because you're trying to impress them, but because you are so utterly at peace with absorbed in yourself. Consider this simple, yet incredibly powerful roadmap to cultivating this profound self-worth. Reclaim your time in sacred space. Begin by dedicating specific, non-negotiable time to yourself, unapologetically. This means learning to say no to demands that drain your energy, actively pursuing hobbies and interests that genuinely ignite your spirit, and fiercely protecting your personal space for reflection and rejuvenation. It might be an hour of uninterrupted reading, a tranquil walk in nature, or simply a quiet evening alone, truly savoring your own company. This isn't selfish. It's absolutely essential for recharging your spirit and deeply reminding yourself that your time is a precious, valuable commodity. Invest deeply in your passions. What truly ignites your soul? What have you always yearned to learn, create, or experience? Whether it's painting, mastering a new skill, hiking challenging trails, learning a foreign language, or dedicating your time to volunteering, Actively immerse yourself in activities that genuinely nourish your soul and spark your curiosity. This not only significantly builds your confidence and sense of accomplishment, but also broadens your perspective, makes you a more interesting, well-rounded, and captivating individual. Cultivate your inner circle, the true support system. Nurture your friendships and family relationships with intentionality. Spend quality time with people who genuinely uplift you, who unequivocally see and celebrate your true worth, and who champion your successes without reservation. A strong, authentic support system reinforces your sense of belonging and consistently reminds you that your value extends far beyond any single romantic relationship. These are the anchors that ground you. Embrace your imperfections, true self-acceptance. True self-worth isn't about striving for an impossible standard of perfection. It's about deeply accepting your flaws, quirks, and vulnerabilities as an integral part of your unique and beautiful tapestry. When you release the exhausting burden of trying to be flawless and courageously embrace your authentic self, you become more resilient, more genuinely confident, and paradoxically, more appealing. Authenticity is deeply magnetic. Practice intentional communication, words with weight. This isn't about playing games or being elusive, but about being profoundly mindful of your words and actions. When you speak, speak with clear intention and purpose. When you make a commitment, commit fully and genuinely. When you need space, communicate that calmly, respectfully, and without apology. This consistent practice not only builds immense respect for yourself, but also naturally garners more respect from others. Don't chase, attract. The law of radiance. Understand that your energy is your most precious resource. Instead of expending it by chasing after someone, focus intensely on becoming the kind of person you genuinely want to attract into your life. When you live a life overflowing with purpose, passion, and inner joy, you naturally draw in people who genuinely align with your core values and deeply appreciate your authenticity. It's an effortless gravitational pull. This profound journey is not a quick fix. It's a continuous, evolving process of deep self-discovery and unwavering self-acceptance. But as you courageously walk this path, you'll find that your entire demeanor subtly shifts. You become calmer, more centered, and far less reactive. Your interactions with men become less about desperately seeking validation and more about seeking genuine, respectful connection. When you operate from a place of unshakable self-worth, the subtle shifts in your behavior, the deliberate pauses, the calm detachment, the unwavering focus on your own thriving life, aren't designed to manipulate. They are simply powerful reflections of your newfound strength, your inherent independence, and your complete emotional self-sufficiency. And paradoxically, it is this very independence that awakens something profound in a man, pulling him closer in a way that desperate pursuit or constant giving never could. The ultimate goal of this profound understanding is not to create an obsessed man in a superficial, controlling sense, but to foster a relationship built on a deeper, more profound respect and genuine, undeniable desire. When a woman confidently inhabits her own space, when she is not constantly trying to fill a void or earn affection, she compels a man to step up, to genuinely engage, and to truly see her in a way he never had to before. When a man's ego is no longer coddled by constant availability, when he experiences the subtle, unsettling shift of your primary focus being firmly on your own vibrant life and well-being, he begins to see you through a completely different lens. He is no longer just comfortable, he is powerfully curious. He is no longer just complacent, he is deeply compelled to invest. This isn't an obsession born of insecurity or manipulation, but a deep-seated desire to connect with a woman who embodies self-respect, inner strength, and an undeniable allure that emanates from her own quiet completeness. The obsession that arises from this approach isn't about control or unhealthy possessiveness. It's about a man's profound realization that he is in the presence of someone truly valuable, someone who doesn't need him to complete her, but who chooses him because he genuinely adds to her already rich and fulfilling life. This creates a far more resilient, authentic, and deeply respectful connection. He respects her fierce independence, is intrinsically intrigued by her self-possession, and is drawn to the undeniable depth of her character. This is where the relationship moves beyond superficial attraction into a realm of genuine partnership and mutual admiration. He desires not just her presence, but her unique essence, her quiet strength, because she has, in her calm self-reliance, shown him what she truly is worth. This isn't about causing him pain. It's about inspiring him to rise to the occasion, to actively pursue a woman who knows her own value, and to ultimately build a connection rooted in profound respect and genuine, heartfelt desire. The true secret isn't about hurting his ego to make him obsessed. It's about understanding his fundamental drives and, more importantly, understanding and embracing your own intrinsic value. In doing so, you effortlessly allow his desire to transform into a deep, respectful longing for a truly meaningful connection. It's about finding your own undeniable wholeness, and in that powerful self-discovery, inviting a love that is equally whole and deeply, profoundly real.